Oh, it's Yef and Nerd Show, and today I'm talking about 2024 in review, but we're going to just talk about the TV shows this time. This is going to be much shorter than my movies thing. The movie one I'm going to have to cut down. But anyway, this is a list from the Rolling Stone for the best new TV shows of 2024. I'm first going to do this, and then I have a couple ones that I want to bring up that this list doesn't bring up that I thought were great from this year. And yeah, just gonna do that. The reason I did this because it's hard for me to remember what all came out TV wise. And I do watch a lot, and some things fall by the wayside. And if you try to look it up, you'll get a lot of stuff. Like some TV things will include like sports stuff or I don't know, just cable events that I'm never gonna watch. So it was easier just to find somebody else's list, comment on it, and then throw in a couple things that they just didn't have that I do remember. So there's that. Let's take a look. Baby Reindeer. I actually really loved. Yeah, I'm gonna say I loved it. I loved Baby Reindeer. The reason I love Baby Reindeer is because it has a really good. I like how it deals with stalkers, and not just that, but like how it sort of dissects what makes a stalker, what makes a person crazy, what makes a person mentally ill, what makes a person. Because what the fun, interesting thing about this is like, and how much is a person being stalked? How much of it is their fault? And I don't even necessarily think that's like a thing that needs like always needs to be discussed. But I do like the dangerousness that Richard Gadd uh, plays with in this is like, well, how much of it, if it doesn't apply to anybody else, that's fine, doesn't matter. But he himself is like very honest about his role in the stalking of him. And I think that was so interesting. I also liked how like he basically goes to the police. The police can't do anything without a threat. And so she sends him like thousands and thousands of emails, voicemails, all this stuff. And he has to go through all of them. He has to ironically give her as much attention as she wants just so he could get rid of her. And I think that's a very interesting idea too. And very minor spoilers at the end. But I liked how it kind of made parallels between what Martha does to Richard in the show, and also what he does to some people that he's had relationships with after it's all said and done. And it plays an interesting parallel between like, this sort of thin line between what we consider a stalker and what stalking really is. I think those are like such interesting, cool ideas, and on top of that, deals with interesting ideas about masculinity, sexuality, and the social norms surrounding those things, and the social norms about a woman being stalked versus a man being stalked, the gender dynamics of it all. There are people who have, in some ways, I could see rightly so, criticize Baby Reindeer for maybe being a little too honest, so much so that people could find a real Martha if they want to. And to that, I do see where there are issues, but I do think the details in the show they just have something that is very important. Like it adds a conversation to something that I don't think has been talked about before in any form of media. And I think it is actually giving us a very good thing to chew on when it comes to how we think about these sorts of things. So, for that, I think Baby Reindeer definitely deserves to be one of the best shows of this year. And I think it's good. You should check it out if you haven't seen it. Okay. John Mulaney presents Everybody's in LA. I watched all of this, and some of it I watched live. I really like this, and I think if they're going to come back and do more live shows like this, it'd be really good for Netflix. I think Netflix doing live things this year has helped them a lot. They've been the live Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight, even though you couldn't really watch it live because it kept buffering and you were losing pixels every other second. The fact that I was able to just click onto my Netflix and put it on, even if it was sucky, I think that's so. I think Netflix is. I think that's the future for some of Netflix's stuff. They really want to keep people on. Is doing more of these live things. Uh, Cobra Kai wanted to shout out. Cobra Kai is ending this year. I don't know when the last batch of episodes are coming out. Oh, February 13th, 2025. So it's really ending next year. But it's the last 5 episodes are coming out next year in February. That's so stupid. In February? Stupid. I love Cobra Kai because it's just good, man. Cobra Kai is just good. Let's keep it going. Umbrella Academy ended this year. I haven't finished the final season yet. First 3 seasons have had positive reviews. The final season met with more mixed reception. The Umbrella Academy, I love the Umbrella Academy. It's created by Gerard Way, who is the lead singer of My Chemical Romance, and he also writes on Doom Patrol comic books and a bunch of other comic books. He created the Umbrella Academy. The Umbrella Academy and Doom Patrol, the TV show, came out at the same time. I did not watch Doom Patrol. I watched the Umbrella Academy. And at the time, I liked the Umbrella Academy more because I literally had seen not a frame of Doom Patrol, but now Doom Patrol is my favorite show ever. So there's that. But the Umbrella Academy still has a lot of that Doom Patrol energy. It's basically a bunch of misfit characters doing a bunch of crazy junk all the time, and there are times where it seems like it doesn't make sense, but all eventually coalesces into something that makes some semblance of sense. And because of that, I like it. I don't know how the final season was. It said it got mixed reviews, but who cares? Final seasons is nobody's ever going to be wholly satisfied. I miss you in Umbrella Academy. I hope everyone involved finds better things. Let's take a look at this clip because The Bear. I love The Bear. The Bear is probably one of my favorite shows, period. And by the time it ends, it will probably be like favorite of all time level. And I wanted to show this scene because I think people were lackluster on season 3 of The Bear this year, and I think it was great, but whatever. This scene alone, I think, does a really great job of just talking about, or it's just a great scene between two people in The Bear, and it's probably my favorite scene I've seen. So let's watch it. Well, I'm just going to react to this scene.
I was there for 15 years at the place that fired me.
It's brutal.
Brutal. And when I'm applying for all these jobs, it's all kids, right? They look like kids.
It's not the fucking worst.
Yeah. But also beautiful,
Why? How so?
They seem like hungry, And I was thinking to myself, like, maybe I lost that in myself.
Yeah.
Like I get anxious to pay the rent, like to pay for groceries, like real shit, right? And I was thinking it would be real easy for me to get really angry at these kids, like, fuck them kids. They don't know shit. They haven't been through nothing. They don't know real stress. But I'm also like, I would give anything to be one of them motherfuckers.
Dude, so fucking true.
I'm jealous as fuck.
Like,
I love this show.
It's comedic how hard it's been for me to find anything, man. I'll clean a dish, I'll wash the floor, I'll sell some bullshit. I gotta cover this ass, right? So, I don't need to be inspired. I don't need to be impassioned. I don't need to make magic. I don't need to save the world, I just want to feed my kids, Amen, man. And just give me a routine. I'm in.
okay. Listen, you might totally throw that fucking sandwich in my face and like have at it, all right? Because I'm just gonna say, full disclosure, this place, like this fucking place, it sucks. Like, it sucks. It's like you go home and you fucking smell it, and it's like insane, and there's so much fucking yelling here. But I swear to you, there are days that it is so much fun. Like, it is so and like the pay is shit, right? But there are days we make a rack of fucking tips, and it's like, it feels fucking good, you know? Mm-hmm. So,
what are you asking me?
I need a new line cook.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I have an actual resume.
What the fuck am I gonna do with a resume? I'll go clean the toilet with a fucking resume. I don't need a resume. I talk to you. What? You know? What do you think? Dude, I fucking heard you. Shut the fuck up.
Okay. I gotta stop the camera so I can talk about that scene right quick. About that scene specifically is... Oh my god. So, what the bear does so well is just dealing with normal human things, dealing with normal people. Tina in the show is one of my favorite characters of the show because she is a middle-aged woman, later-aged woman, honestly. No offense. And her character finds a passion. Like, that's a flashback episode, and she's like, I don't need the magic, I don't need the da-da-da-da-da. I just want a routine, I want to come in and do the job and go home and all this. And when Carmy comes in, she kind of butts her head against him, like, hey, you're changing everything, you're effing it all up. But then slowly over time, she sort of gets that passion, that hunger that Carmy just sort of kind of exudes in a way. He's basically leaking that anxious hunger for, I don't know, artistic expression as well as just doing the dang thing. And what that scene really does in a great way, and I love how they use Jon Bernthal, who plays Mikey, throughout the entire show. That scene starts out, and it's the first scene Tina and Mikey meet. And it starts out so wide, and they sort of start to talk, and as they slowly are starting to get into what the other one's saying, the camera slowly pushes in all the way up until you realize it is all up on their face, cutting back and forth, and you're just like, oh no, these two are in sync. These two are vibing to the max right now. And it's just such a great scene. Directed by Ayo Edebiri, also, which is great. They have the person who plays Sydney direct the Tina-centric episode. And if you know the show, Tina and Sydney they're great foils for each other because they kind of start off as enemies, but they become allies and friends, and they kind of count on each other. And I just love it. The Bear's just an amazing show. It's an amazing show that is probably one of the best shows ever. I do agree season 3 isn't as good as season 2 or season 1, but there's too much goodness to just write it off like some people have. All right. Now I want to talk about my favorite TV show of 2024. I literally didn't start any of it until this year, but the first season was on Netflix for Halloween, and I binged it, and I binged the second season somehow. And now I want to show the trailer for Interview with the Vampire.
I offer, for your journalistic pleasures, my life story.
So, how long have you been dead?
The year was 1910. My business was desire.
Let me introduce you to Mr. Lestat de Liancourt.
I love who you are, sir. We're destined to be very good friends.
I'm assuming you only met at night.
It's New Orleans. Days are for sleeping off the previous evening's damage. That's your thing, eh? You like to watch?
I've been watching you for some time now. I can swap this life for sure. Swap it out for a dark gift.
Let the tale seduce you. Just as I was seduced. He was my murderer, my mentor, my lover, and my maker. A very strange boy. It was as if I could finally receive the secrets of existence.
Your eyes. I I could search window.
I was not yet ready to hunt, but desperate to feed.
It's best to let the food come to you.
You're not welcome in this home. This is how it has to be.
I don't want to kill people. You're a vampire. I could not save myself, but I could save her.
She'll be what? The daughter?
We're a family.
She is poisoning you against me.
You two have each other. Who am I supposed to know?
This is not a life! You took my life!
We'll be together 10,000 nights. 100,000.
Ready to begin the adventure of our lives. My companions in immortality.
Okay. I want to talk about Interview with the Vampire because this is probably the best show that nobody's watching. There's always a year when people are like, man, this show's the best show that nobody's watching. And for me, it was Doom Patrol, it was The Leftovers, it's Blind Spotting. But for right now, as a show that has not ended and is still on and is gaining a little bit of a following. I think when the first season was put on Netflix, it really did get a lot of viewers onto it. But Interview with the Vampire is one of the better written shows I've seen in recent times that nobody's talking about. And it does so many interesting things. If you've seen the movie with Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, the story is more or less very similar, though they do change the timelines a little bit to, I don't know, not have to use like weird, crazy, super old clothes. I don't know. But the show does a really great job of expanding on everything you got from the movie. The movie, I don't know if I necessarily remember or even thought about the idea of Lestat and Louis as being gay. I don't know if I thought about that when I first saw the movie when I was a kid. But when I've definitely heard interpretations of that, so it's not like crazy to me to assume. And I think the show does a really interesting job of playing with that. And also they made Louis Black in the show. It's very interesting. I just love all that. Claudia, I really like what they do with her. The only sucky thing about Claudia is from season 1, season 2, they had to recast her. I don't know why, they just did. Both actresses are great as Claudia, but for some reason, I feel like in the second season, they might have pulled back on her story a little bit, maybe because they weren't so confident whether or not the actress could bring the same amount of chemistry and gravitas to Claudia as the first actress did in the first season. I think they both did equally great jobs, just the second Claudia didn't get as much meat to chew on because I think they were scared about it. What else? And so, yeah, I think what Interview with the Vampire does the best is I think it shows one of the better TV show relationships you'll ever see between two characters. You get to see them in very different aspects of their relationship, and because they're vampires living through hundreds of years, you get to see more exaggerated forms of how those changes take place, which is very interesting. They also have intriguing things with the present plot line. Like in the movie, the whole thing is literally just an interview with the vampire. Christian Slater is just talking to Brad Pitt, and Brad Pitt's just telling him the whole story. And then at the end, Christian Slater runs into Tom Cruise, like the very, very, very end, and then cut the credits. This implies that Louis, the vampire, takes the interviewer, and they tried to have this interview before in the 80s, but for some reason it didn't work out, and so now they're trying again in the 2020s. And I think that's an interesting aspect. So now you get, like, you're juggling three different storylines. The story that Louis is telling the interviewer, there's that story. Then there's a story of, well, wait, what happened when they first tried to do this interview back in the 80s? And so you get hints of that throughout the whole show. And then there are other factors involved in the story, like how the interview might ask a certain question, or how some other characters might factor into these stories, that really spice up the whole concept. So, like, what I like is not only are you sort of seeing it from Louis' perspective and he's sort of telling the story, but based on what new information you get later on, recontextualizes what you got before. So, like, there's a lot of stuff, especially in the second half of season 2, that recontextualizes a whole lot of stuff from season 1, and then really sort of puts you in a more precarious position when it comes to figuring out which characters are in the right and which characters are in the wrong, in such an enriching way. It's like, you really find it, like, it's really just surprising. You didn't think it had so much substance in there. And not only is there so much substance in there, by the end of it, you're kind of like, man, I wish it would keep going. And thankfully, there's going to be a third season, but the Interview with the Vampire books, like, well, there's only one book called Interview with the Vampire. After that, it sort of goes off. And so what I'm really interested now in seeing is, we basically got the entire movie in these first 2 seasons. Now we're going to get to see the sequel. And that stuff I'm really interested in. I think it's supposed to delve more into what the heck Lestat is doing this entire time before... I'm not going to spoil anything else. Okay, so that's it. That's the top TV of 2024. Like, comment, subscribe. Goodbye. So that was just that list of a couple things. I hope you were represented. If you weren't, put some ideas in the comments.